class. We're going to start chapter 8 today, and this chapter is talking about integers. So we're going to be discussing positive and negative numbers. All right, a couple of important things for you to remember are positive numbers are numbers that are greater than 0. So 0 is not a positive number. Negative numbers are numbers that are less than 0. 0 is not a negative number. Opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0, and you'll understand that more when we talk in a few minutes. I'll show you on a number line. An integer is a set of whole numbers and their opposites. So integers are numbers, positive numbers and negative numbers. 0 is neither negative nor positive, and its opposite is 0. There is no such thing as negative 0. Some uses for negative numbers, we use them in banking. It's not a good thing. If your bank account is in the red or it's in the negative, that means you have spent more money than you have. You have written a check or charged something when you didn't have money to back it up. All right? So that means you owe people money. Temperature, we don't really see temperatures like this in Florida, but there are places that have temperatures that are below 0. So that means extremely cold temperatures. Depths of the ocean. Any one time you know anybody that's gone diving before, they go down below the surface of the water, and so that would be represented with negative numbers. A measurement when drilling for oil, they're drilling below the surface of the ground, below ground level, and so they would use a negative number to denote that. There's other times too, like in scores for golf and different things like that, but those are some of the most common. Writing positive and negative numbers, a couple of things that you need to remember is you do not need to put a positive sign in front of a number. It's not what we normally do. It doesn't make it wrong. It's just not necessary. If I have the number 3, I know that's positive. I don't need to put the positive sign in front of it. But if I'm writing a negative number, the negative sign is required. And -9, or any number with a negative sign in front of it, is read as -9. Do not call it a minus sign. So it's not a plus sign or a minus sign now. Now they are positive or negative signs. All right. When you're writing a positive or a negative number, let's see if we can practice doing that for each situation. So we're going to read the statement and we're going to represent that statement with either a positive number or a negative number. A hiker climbs 900 feet up a mountain. So if you're going up, all right, would that be positive or negative? Right, it would be a positive 900 feet. And remember, I don't have to put the positive sign in front of the 900. You have a debt of $24. Well, a debt is money you owe someone. So that would give me a negative $24. All right, I owe someone $24. If a student loses 5 points for not showing work on a quiz, all right, that would be a -5 on his score. It would deduct points. A savings account earns $10. Well, that's good. So that would give me a positive 10. And I can just write 10. It's not wrong to put a positive sign in front of it. You can do that. It will not make your answer wrong. So if you feel better about doing that, it's easier for you, you are welcome to do that. It's just not the typical thing. It's not required. All right, when graphing integers, I want you to think of the negative sign as referring to the opposite of a number. At the first beginning of the slides, we said that an opposite is a number that is the same distance from 0. So for example, if we graph 3 here, 3 is 1, 2, 3 spaces from 0. The opposite of 3 I would go back to 0. I would go in the opposite direction, 1, 2, 3, the same number of places, and it lands me on -3. So -3 and 3 are opposites. All right, let's practice by graphing the opposite of 4. So I would go to my graph first and I would mark the 4. Then I would go and that was 1, 2, 3, 4 places from 0. I'm going to go to 0 again and go the opposite direction. And I am at -4. Now, you don't have to mark it on a number line as long as you know that the opposite of a +4 will always be a -4. The opposite of a -2 will always be a +2. All right? All right. Let's look at this example of a story problem or a situation in real life that there could possibly be. Traveling up an elevator. It says you deliver flowers to an office building. You enter at ground level and you go down 2 floors to make the first delivery. Then you go up 7 floors to make the second delivery. They said write an integer that represents each position. Well, if you enter at ground level, you're at 0. If you go down 2 floors, that would be a -2. If you go up 7 floors, that's a +7. It says write an integer that represents how you return to ground level. So if we went up 7 floors after we went down 2, we are on the 5th floor. So how will I get back to 0? Right, I would go down 5 floors, or a -5. So the negative sign tells me I'm going down, all right? And that will get me back to the ground level. All right, let's look at this example. The world record for scuba diving is 332 meters below sea level. Write an integer that represents a new world record and explain. All right, so if he's going below sea level, how do I represent that? I would write -332. Now, it says write an integer that represents a new world record. So if you wanted to break this world record, what would you do? You would have to go how far? You would have to go at least to a -333 meters, correct? Because you have to go further than the first person went. So anything -333 or higher. It could be -338. All right? It could be a -40, 340. So any of those, it had to be a negative number that was higher than -332.